first, I would like to see the thank you at the first from the Juliet. Some questions raised from the chat. At the first is questions for Shigeru, the first presenters. Whether he can explain what happens to the philosophy of the lifelong employment in Japan. I have already signaled from Ben Quinenois, the founders of the ASEC, ASEAN Solidarity Economy Council, will respond to these questions. However, everybody from you could as well respond to the question. Just raise your hand or open your microphone, so I know that you will contribute something to the questions stated in the Zoom. Thank you. So Ben, would you like to respond to the first questions, please? Hello, Ben.
I think it's me first, Chandra first. Chandra is speaking. I will.
Okay.
Mr. Shigeru has responded that he's sorry that he cannot join our today's session, but I have passed the question to him, and then he replied, and then his answer is, what happened to the philosophy of lifelong employment in Japan? He replies, it gets dissolved through neoliberal policies that allow for labor flexibility, mostly during late 90s. And a peak also comes through liberalization policies in the Koizumi era in the early of 2000s. That's his answer.
Okay, anybody who has the knowledge on this philosophy of lifelong employment, so we can learn as well from these questions. Ben, are you able to respond this? Chandra, is Benjamin there?
Dr. Ben is here,
yeah.
but okay. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What Shigeru was saying was that, in the past, we had a welfare-oriented government, and the policies of the government also reflected the practices of the private companies, and private companies were also providing like social protection for their employees. And in Japan, that kind of social protection was expressed in the form of lifetime employment. Yeah. But then there came a point, when the global economy, the global financial forces led by the World Bank promoted this liberalization of financial policies, liberalization of the trade policies, and so forth and so on. And also liberalization of labor laws. So that provided an avenue where the government now relaxed on their labor laws. And one of those that were gradually phased out was this lifelong employment for labor, in Japan, in many other countries, developing countries, liberalization means to say, for example, in the Philippines, the private companies need not anymore respect the labor contract. For example, in the Philippines, they give you a contract of 6 months, but before 6 months is finished, they end your contract so that they will not be able to hire you as a permanent employee. So you become a permanent contractual, not a regular employee, which means to say you have no access to social protection schemes. You have no life insurance benefits, you have no pension benefits, and so forth and so on. So this is the effect, of this new liberalization policies.
Okay, thank you, Ben. I think these situations occurred in every country. Like in Indonesia, I have just done the research. It shows as well the number of the informal sectors is growing. Yeah, one among others is due to these liberalizations that many industries do not practice or applying the contract workers, but more outsourcing. So that means the number of the informal sectors are growing, but unfortunately, mostly they are not united into the labor union. So it's fair. I think this is one of the advocacy of the all of us civil society. How can we bridge the informal sector, the unfortunate workers into better life and decent work? Okay, let's.
May I,
Yeah, sure.
may I share something, Dr. Irene?
Surely, related to that questions. Good.
Yeah, related to that question. For Singapore, from 55 years ago, when the nation was formed, we never ever had a lifelong policy in terms of work. It was always on meritocracy, and so that people knew that if they did not perform, then it is not going to be there forever. And that so forth, they needed to do something to work. And though there are unions and there are different bodies that will help the welfare of the people and the people in the various marketplaces, but the thing is, it was never a promised lifelong philosophy, never existed in Singapore since its independence. Before that, it's different. Yeah, just wanted to add that.
Okay, thank you. This is another story of the informal sector. This is as well a big issue. How can we improve the welfare of the informal sectors? As you know, informal means outside the framework. So, however, to ensure the SDGs, they are part of as well. One of the we have to help to reach the SDGs. Okay, I will go to the second questions. Yeah, prepare for everybody who will contribute to respond to these questions. The question said, how can we assess? I don't know from whom is it, Juliet. How can we? Yeah. How can we assess the organization based on their compliance with ethical values? Can we employ a similar mental model or as proposed by Benjamin? Your name is stated here, Benjamin. Could you respond to the second question, please?
The question from
Arindam. Arindam.
Arindam. Okay.
Laha. He knows my paper. It states mental models, in social solidarity economy. Actually, to respond to Arindam, the approach of ASEC is not prescriptive. Yeah? We do not prescribe the framework of 5 dimensions and ethical values. What we do is we look into the organization and see whether they have ethical values. They observe ethical values. So in other words, the organization themselves, they have formed, certain values. Yeah. Sometimes they, for example, as related by Dr. Romero, they have, values like trust, responsibility, and so forth. So in other words, every organization lays down, their corporate values, lays down their organizational values. And that's what we have integrated in our framework, that we look into their values. And based on that assessment, we are, we have some indication whether these values are related to the results or the outcome of their activities. Yeah. So, for example, if, for example, the leaders and managers of the organization have this empathy, yeah, they have empathy for the poor. They want to serve the poor. They want to extend their services to the poor. Yeah, and the excluded, then they will create programs in order to serve the poor and the excluded. However, if they do not have that, no matter how much resources they have, they will not commit that. Yeah. So it is not, because of imposition of values that will motivate organizations to do things that they do not want to do. Yeah. So for that reason, what we're saying about ethical values is each organization must find their own ethical values because this is the basis for their motivation, whether they would like to help the poor or not. Because most of our questions, if you look at the chat box, most of the questions is asking, how do we help the poor? How do we, if we have ethical values, how can we create value for the poor? Yeah. Actually, that is the basic question. If you do not have an ethical value to help the poor, no matter how much money you have, you cannot help the poor. This is our argument. Yeah. So that is why it's very basic for an organization. Firstly, to commit because this is their conviction. This is their belief. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is two kinds of paradigm. Yeah. For example, one is saying in the chat box, I think it's Respo. How can we compete when we are promoting ethical values and the other organizations, they're trying to maximize their profit? Yeah. This is precisely what we're saying. Yeah. Those who are maximizing their profit, they do not have ethical values that tell them, hey, help the poor. Yeah. For that reason, we're trying to create an alternative system. Yeah. That is imbued with ethical values. Now, how does those ethical values help the poor? Well, in many of our cases, we show that even with meager resources, organizations can help the poor. They share the profits to the poor. So even if the organization can show only minimal profit, most of the value added that they create from production goes back to the members or to the community. Do you understand that? For example, if you create a profit of, let's say, 100,000, a profit maximizing organization will say, okay, we will retain 90% of 100,000 and 10% we will give to the workers. Yeah, that's their value. Yeah, a profit maximizing corporation. But an SSA organization will say, we have 100,000, we give 90% to our members, and we retain 10% for our reserve. That is the cooperative value. Yeah, in the Philippines we do that. Yeah, the cooperatives normally give back the dividends to the members instead of retaining it. But for-profit companies, they retain the profit. They give bonus every Christmas, but very small portion of the profit. So these are the differences, because of differences in the values. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ben. This is very interesting how to measure. This is something might be, it's not a common in the monitoring and evaluations or complying method that we have as well to measure the outcome of the ethical values. It's very interesting. And the third question, this is long questions. It comes from the Vincentius Arnold. He is Indonesian, so I know him. But as the question is so very quite long, I would like to invite him to explain directly what do you want to ask, or because it seems you have a background as well before these questions. Arnold, Vincent, I invite you.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the question that is too long.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So it's because my English is very limited.
No, it's okay. Nobody have the native here. Nobody. Everybody has their own mother tongue.
So basically, my question is, while the economy and the business in global context is still dominated by capitalism and liberalization. And also technological advancement that is very fast. Now we have the economy that is full of disruptive innovation and also intensifying competition or hyper competition. So in this sense of global competition for resources, mostly for financial resources, the SSE organization with their ethical values tend to put lesser profit in their economic model. So my question is that while everyone is grabbing resources and we are sparing resources for others, how can we thrive or survive, or how can the SSE become a major movement and as a major movement in economic system, global economic system? That's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vincent. So again, I would like ask Ben, what do you think in the competitions? Because the world, I think Shigeru has mentioned that we are living now the experience of Japan. The Japan itself is living in the neoliberalism system. But however, the challenge, therefore, the title of this convergence is transformative. Yeah, this is not like a tick to change, but this is a transformative movement. So Shigeru suggests for re-envisions of the relationship between the community, market, and the government. But more clearly, I would like ask your thought, Ben, on it.
Well, thank you, Eri. One of the strategies was mentioned by Juliet yesterday. She mentioned, this the importance of mindsets, changing mindsets. Also yesterday, we said that many of the SSE organizations, they rely on manpower resources, not on monetary resources in terms of organizing. So what does that mean? If we combine these two, it means to say that when changing mindsets, we are actually trying to expand the movement of SSE. Yeah, we have to expand it to so that more people are aware that there is an alternative. Yeah, because right now people are complaining about the neoliberal market economy, but they do not have alternative. Yeah, the alternative cannot be done, cannot come from heaven. Because we are already mandated by heaven to take charge, of the resources that are given us. So we have to create an alternative, but we need people. Yeah, that's the only way we can expand. Secondly, it is not true that SSC organizations are not mobilizing capital. We also mobilize finance. That's why we have social funds. We have social finance. We have microfinance. We have cooperative finance. So in other words, there are also instruments within the SSE movement where organizations are mobilizing capital for purposes of scaling up, the initiatives. Now, thirdly, disruptive technologies. Even cooperatives right now and SSE organizations, they are adopting digital technology, mobile phones, digital payments, and even a satellite remote sensing data. So it's not true that SA organizations are, do not use these technologies. The only thing is that, like in many countries, small entrepreneurs, it's very difficult to unite them. That is really the challenge. Even if you go to the local areas, it is not magic, that when you go there, the small enterprises will immediately run and then unite with each other. It doesn't come that way. You have to change their mindsets. And so there is a big, task ahead of us. But even today, I am attending another, forum in the Philippines. This is a forum of cooperatives. These are the things that we discuss. How can we integrate, there's so many cooperatives in the Philippines so that, we are not competing with each other instead of uniting and having a solidarity move. Yeah. So this is the challenge for all of us, because in the Philippines, we have almost 90% of our enterprises being micro. I think it's more in Indonesia. We have so many micro enterprises, and that is also true in many countries. And the challenge is how you unite them. Yeah. So you cannot unite them by money, because they are beholden to the neoliberal market economy. Yeah. You really have to change their mindset and show to them that there is an alternative rather than the neoliberal market economy. Then we create the social solidarity economy. So this is our advocacy. Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, but we have to persist, because we believe there is an alternative to neoliberal market economy. Of course, right now we see there's a big problem because the the uh, uh, the mainstream economy is a big one. Yeah, we think it is not possible to overcome it, but the history tells us that historical change happen. So we have to persist in our belief that one day the social economy will also become mainstream. Yeah. So this is the thing, because otherwise, um, if you do not have an alternative to the neoliberal market economy, then there is no hope. There's no hope. So what we are doing is providing an alternative so that we can propose this to the people, and if they see that this is good, then they can come, and populate this, bring in their resources, and we can enlarge, the sector. So thank you. Very.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So I think it is needed. Therefore, I think that might be you people regular to attend the SSE Academy, because we offer sharing from the good practices of the NGOs who practicing the SSE. One of them I can put here, the ASEFA from South India, Madurai, Madurai in India. So it has been 50 years old, and I think all those business in that area, I think comparing to Indonesia, already in the district level, there are majoring not only as a business, but the values has been as well adopted as the policy of the local government. So you can see that might be they work with the basis of solidarity, but it is long life, long standing, more than 50 years is existed. Might be the company might be it is a challenge to be 50 years existed in the business. This is as well not easy for the company, but those case study, those good practices is inspiring, that practicing the ethical value without like rush competitions, hard competitions as in the neoliberalism, but we can go slowly but sustainable. I think we have another example here. I don't know, maybe another participants can share for their own organizations. How can you compete? How can you live with another type of economy in your organization? How can you survive? I would like invite another participants to enrich the response from Ben. Is there anybody would to add? No? Okay. But at least I would say that this is possible. another world is possible. This is the tagline of the RIPES, the SSE Global Network. The another world is possible. The another world with the social solidarity economy is possible. We can see already with the ASEFA case study, with the Bina Swadaya, which has already 50 years old as well, existed there. So that if we are united, it is possible that we can go side by side with the neoliberalism. So and then I hear a questions. People want to respond. Somebody?
This is me, Ibu Eri, Vincent.
Oh yeah, another Vincent. What do you think, Vincent? What do you think?
I agree with all the opinion from Professor Benjamin and the last from you, Ibu Eri. We have to unite. Being united is better and will be more powerful.
Yes.
And another thing is we have to struggle for an organization health. So we have to maintain the organization where we are dealing with to be healthy.
Yeah.
So we will have the resources to have more activities, improving the life of the people.
Yes.
So the importance is stay healthy.
Surely.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent. Vincent is promoters of the credit union in the east of Indonesia, with a lot of members as well. Every day he is dealing with the poor people. So remember, if we listen to the third presentations by from the Tetay, we can see that the cooperative, as Vincent said, should be as well, beside the ethical value, should has as well a healthy management. I think the FPSDC has showed to us that not only the ethical value driven, but as well they show, the FPSDC show the healthy management. So we can see the how variety of the marketing strategies. This is like in the another business competitions. So this is therefore, I think, as yesterday has been as well mentioned, that we should not separate. We should not like agree that we have to unite it, but we have as well to learn from the business from other companies, because from them we can learn the management, we can learn the marketing system, we can learn the technology, we can learn the leadership. But the big company, the competitive one, the liberalism one, can learn as well from the SSE organizations about the social innovations. How can effectively deliver the goods and services to the poor people? So both should be united, not only among the SSE, but we have as well getting closer as well with another type of the business. Okay, thank you. I will continue the fourth, because I have seeing the time as well. The fourth questions come from Madevi. To continue Mr. Arnold questions. Okay. It is even more difficult for people in micro enterprises who often take loans from the bank schemes or government schemes, as in India. Instead of stepping out of poverty, it's become slipping into extreme poverty. How do we get people motivated to to raise their income while maintaining the balance with the edifying values? That is very interesting questions. I know that a lot of practitioners of the microfinance here, you can share your experience regarding to Mahadevi questions. Who want to respond to the Mahadevi questions, please?
Actually, Dr. Eri, I think this question is a good question. It's not only in the area of micro enterprise, but even in terms of SSE or any social enterprise even. And many countries in Southeast Asia also, not only in India, face the same problem. That instead of coming out, though there are many good stories, but there are also many stories where this happens, where people slip further into poverty than out of it. So they can't sustain it. So this was a question that I also raised towards the end yesterday in the chat group. So perhaps someone can help to answer this. Well, this is an important question to handle.
Yeah, I think like in the pandemic, you know, people who has loan from the banks and has the obligations for payment monthly, and while on another side the economy as well disrupted and might be as well they cannot get more incomes. This is a problem. I think this is come to is need the government interventions to this. Not only try to motivate it to raise the incomes by them, but another side, solidarity among us is as well important to help the people. In Indonesia, sometimes I read in the WhatsApp group that there is a tagline, buying from friends. That means if you want to buy something small like vegetable, banana, going to the informal, going to the street vendors who mostly impacted by the pandemic. That means rather than to the supermarket, to hypermarket, going to the traditional market, then you help them in the meantime. So this is one of the tips. Do you have another? I would like to ask from you. Do you have another tips? How can we help them in these difficult situations for people who has their loan from the bank, but in another side has a collapse in their in economy? Please share Please share. Yeah.
Eri?
Yes, Vincent.
May I say something? Okay.
Surely.
There is a slogan writes like this: no one can help the poor except the poor themselves. So we have to try not borrowing the money from the governments or the banks. We have to have an activity that raising our own money, collecting our own money to help ourselves. So live beside the money from the government or from the banks.
Okay, Vincent.
Yeah.
But in the microfinance, sometimes credit is needed. But that should be calculated with the affordability, the feasibility as well.
Yes,
but the pandemic is extraordinary. This is like a catastrophe. This is like a disaster, health disaster that impact on economy. I would ask to you back because you manage the credit union. I'm sure that a lot of our members.
Can you share something from microfinance group?
Okay, group, good. Share your policy to the borrowers.
Yeah, actually, during pandemic and until now, since we're not allowed to do face-to-face transaction, what we did for our clients is to help them promote online their business. So we saw it also an opportunity for them to market their products, and it helps them for an additional income. Second, that's where we introduce also educating everybody on the use of digital technology. So uh, what we did is 100% monitoring, getting in touch with all of them through cell phone or any means of communication, since we're implementing so many lockdowns in other areas. Third is we do networking, and thank you to Brother Ben. We were able to help our clients also, the ITAs who just had their harvest of ube, and they were the members of ASEC. They got these products, and we are now continuously linking our farmers, what we call this value chain for agriculture. Aside from that, we are teaching our clients on the values of social protection. We have micro insurance program. We teach them also on health issues. Those who are not members of PhilHealth, we are trying our best to educate them on the importance of health insurance. On side by side with microfinance that we form our own mutual benefit association, where you have the clients themselves. Majority of people sitting in the board are clients themselves, and they were trained by the insurance commission. At the same time, they have defined the do's and don'ts in the implementation of the program for micro insurance. The future right now is really we have to promote. We do micro lending at the same time, doing some analysis together with them, how they can improve their business and how we can link them to market. It is very important that we help them on the marketing of their products.
Okay.
So that's what we have right now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
May I
Yeah.
share?
Surely you can add.
Yeah, an example from Cambodia that happened during COVID. So a group of farmers, what they did is, because they not only farmers, some of them were in a marketplace, they lost their jobs and they couldn't pay back even the loans that some of them had. So what they did first is they started to plant different kind of vegetables, food for them to eat first. So at least they minimize their debt. That was the first step. The second thing that they did is that they then get a few chicken, maybe 25, I can't, around there, and they start to breed the chicken. Within 3 months, they were able to get some money back, and then they were able to share that with 2 other families in their village or in their community. And so right now, in the last 6 months, they have started impacting one another. So in a way, like as our brother said earlier, the poor help the poor. So this is what they did. One, to minimize the debt. Second, to try and increase their income without going into getting more micro loans. And then slowly, they are slowly having a profit, and hopefully they are trying to help their whole community so the community can pay back whatever loans they have. This is one very specific example in one community in Cambodia.
Oh, great. Great. Thank you. Thank you. I see a response as well from Jai Sarma. I would like that he might be directly short your response regarding this community investment. Please, Mr. Sarma. Are you there, Mr. Sarma? Otherwise, I will read your suggestion.
I think if you well, you can read it. I mean,
okay.
Which one is it? The loans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just read it out. Okay. I think we should challenge this idea of loans because the idea of loans is always the return on investment, but investment in these terms is being framed purely by monetary means. And we know that it's not just about the price, but the SSEs require a multidimensional approach to looking at what is a community's well-being. So many years ago, I did some research into principles of Islamic finance, and mudarabah is one principle whereby the person who is investing is a partner in the success of the enterprise. I think this is a very beautiful concept, that success means success for all, both the lender and the borrower, and that becomes more equitable. Within the context of the SSEs, I think that a certain percentage of community finance institutions and community banks and so on should support business advice and business planning, because I think far too often it is easier for lending organizations just to give the money so that they complete their portfolio of how much they have to lend. Yeah. So if 10 million is allocated to community finance, their objective, their target is to lend out 10 million, but they don't much care in whether this 10 million is actually going to succeed in having an impact. I think we can change the system, or we should be advocating for that anyway. So I don't think I need to take up more time. I think you get the idea.
I can understand, because we have as well the Sharia Islamic
yes, of course,
system.
Yeah.
Okay, now I would like to slowly close the discussions. The fifth questions actually try to summarize our discussions today, because the topic is related to
daily recruitment.
Okay.
May I share something?
Do you want to share something?
Yes, may I?
Okay.
Dr. Ellie?
Yeah. Okay, please.
Yeah, I'm Lynn Monsanto.
Lynn, I know you.
I was here yesterday also.
Okay.
Okay. I think one other, aside from providing access to finance or ways by which we can innovate financing for the poor, is to also allow them access to technologies that they haven't yet explored. Farmers, for example, we're working with them right now. Farmers, the mango farmers I was telling you about yesterday, I helped them market their products, disrupted the value chain, and brought the farmers closer to the consumers. And in that way, well, improve the income of the farmers, and also improve the income of the resellers of the fruits and the Grab and the delivery service providers. But we are now conducting trainings for farmers, including these mango farmers, on how they can improve production without relying so much on chemical inputs, which is very expensive.
Yes.
So we are teaching
yung memo ng SMEs.
po yung ano nyo.
Please unmute the microphone. Only the Lynn, the speakers, and me, the moderators. Thank you.
Thank you, po. Yeah, I was saying now we have conducted 2 trainings in the span of more than a month only, and there were like more than 150 participants. These are poor farmers, you know. And what we discovered is we can teach them a technology called Jadam, where they make their own fertilizers and they make their own pesticides. So they do not have to borrow money anymore.
Okay.
To buy inputs, because that's why they borrow money. These mango farmers, for example, they were not able to pay their loan from the land bank because of COVID, And now they wanted to borrow again, and Land Bank will not let them borrow because they haven't paid, or because Land Bank does not have the money anymore to lend because money was used in the COVID. All right. So what we told them is, hey, you can produce your own pesticides. You can produce your own fertilizers at a very low cost, ultra low cost.
Okay.
Yeah, so access to technology, that's what I want to emphasize. Let's give them access, the poor access to better technology.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn. I know we can share a lot of practices, from you, but the time is end. Your time is valuable. I know that you have as well another responsibility after this after this webinar. So I would like to. This is not a conclusions, but things that come to my mind. Related to the today discussions. At the first, thank you for the resource person, though they are not attended, but I will convey through my email then later on, as well to the participants. Don't forget, tomorrow we will still have discussions with the title of community resilient in the same time as we have today. So just you can register to the link. I hope you don't have problems to get the access to the Zoom. So again, my closing as the moderators, I would like to back to the title, Pathway to Sustainable Development. That means the SSE would like to give the alternative to accelerate the achievement of SDGs. And this is possible as the first because we are doing based on the human capital, that means with the social capital. However, this is not like putting the hands up and off. We have to do the transformative to achieve, to accelerate the SDG using the SSE principle. At the first, from the presentations, we see that the Shigeru proposed for re-envisions of the relationship between the community, government, and the market. They have to gather together and develop the concept or bringing the policy with the people-centered development. And then from the Professor Romero, Dr. Romero, he suggests that we has to put the purpose first in our organizations. The purpose of what? The purpose which driven from the values. This is important if we want to have a sustainable outcome as referred by the 5 dimensions of the SSE. And then from the presentations, from the discussions, we have as well the organization should be transformed. Our organization should be transformed from more self-reliant, as Lynn has already said, that we could as well actually far away from the loan if we since the beginning try to build the self-reliance motive in our organizations as well, motivated our members or beneficiaries to be self-reliant. Might be we need a credit, but however, it is credit with the feasibility to pay it back, but with the spirit to be self-reliant, not depending on the loan from every long lifetime. So what else? Another is transform to be more digital, as Lynn said in the last. So I think that is a lot might be the keyword that come to your mind. How can we transform? What kind of should be transformed to accelerate the SDGs? So ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, this is end of presentations. Again, thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for Juliet for helping me. See you tomorrow. We will still have in the same time with the topic of building resilient and sustainable community. Thank you very much. Have a good time. Stay healthy. Stay healthy from you all. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you,
everyone.
Lynn.
Bye-bye. Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow.